baby. Come and take 'em here in the garage. Well, hello. Long time no see, people. I'm Buzz Rankin.
And I'm the Common Patriot.
There we go. My bro, the Common Patriot. We are back, folks. The Garage Kings live here in the studio, ready to bring back garage politics. It's been a long time, bro.
It has been way too long. Way too long. We had, 4 or 5 false starts over the years trying to revitalize this.
Yeah, we actually, a lot of you kept up with us on social media, and I know for a fact we've lost some listeners and stuff like that over the years. I mean, we've been absent so long, but yeah, we threatened this like 2 years back, and then 2 years before that, kept saying, "Oh, Garage Kings are coming back. Kings are coming back."
We went through. I looked up at various times. We were trying to find equipment. Okay, how can we get everybody back together and do the whole thing again? And unfortunately, it was just not possible to get everybody together. I mean, we found out recently that Jack has moved out to the western part of the United States. Don is super duper busy running his music schools and all of the businesses that he runs. He is a busy, happy man. Doesn't mean we won't be able to maybe get him in here to do a little appearance once in a while. Yeah. I actually have designs on trying to con Don into doing our new parody songs when we get around to doing some songs. But yeah.
Might be worth it. And yeah, so we're testing out all this new equipment and everything. Patriot and I have been working on this for weeks now. We've invested a little bit of money, and we've got a whole new studio, as you're seeing right now. Of course, we're starting out smaller, guys. So in the aspect of before, we were on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. We were on Saturday nights for 3 hours.
2 hours. We did 2 hours.
2 hours. You're right. Yep. Sorry. See how long it's been? I'm getting, old timers there.
Of course, there's the big difference right there. There's Buzz's shining face. There was none of that before.
You never got to see that before.
Except some pictures. We used to take pictures all the time and post pictures up on the website so people could see.
And speaking of those pictures, we can go ahead and let everybody know the website is live. It's garagepolitics.com.
Right.
But if you're, nostalgic, you can go to garagepolitics.net. It'll still direct you there.
They both go to the same place.
And as you can see right there, we've got several different things, including the shows, the skits, parody songs, everything like that.
All the old stuff from the original show is there. Except the pictures. I have not loaded any of the pictures. If it comes down to it and there's some room for it and I get some time, I'll put up some of the old pictures. We've got pictures of El Jefe is on there and all the guys. So guys, we're taking it a little bit of a step at a time. So what we're going to be doing actually is getting it to where we'll eventually have to where we got callers coming in, be able to take live calls and stuff. But we're trying to keep it to where we don't do too much. You get lost because a lot of you didn't see before I was producing the show and doing part of the show. Of course, it centralizes around Patriot. I mean, he's the vast fountain of knowledge. Oh, dear God.
My big bro, the one I've followed for years, so I've learned a lot from him. But no, so we're going to take it a step at a time, and we're going to get back to where we're doing full-blown live show. So right now, we're basically going to be recording, right?
Right now, and we're not setting a date on it, right? The goal here, remember, first and foremost, the goal here is to produce a quality product, okay? And initially, what you don't see, whether it's a radio show or a podcast or any sort of, especially with video going on here, is there is so much that goes into the timing, the production, making sure that you're using the right pictures, the right backgrounds, the right music, that your timing is right, that the transitions between Buzz and I, the transitions when we get ready to go live, we're going to start taking callers. You got to be ready for that. Eventually you get sponsors and maybe you do some sponsor slots and stuff like that. So the whole goal here initially is to dip our toe in this, so to speak, right? Get used to this again. Get used to running a show, right? Because it's and like I said, the goal, quality product. I want Buzz and I both want to make sure that if you're taking the time to pull this up and watch this cast, okay, this broadcast that we're putting out, then you need to be rewarded with something that actually entertains you, informs you, and has you walk away from each episode going, wow, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because when they're watching it, we want it to be magical.
Easy, Geronimo. Let's not get too. So yes, we've we've tried to introduce this in a new way. You know, like we said, we kept trying to bring this back, and for whatever reason, there was always something going on, and there were obstacles, there were decisions to be made, equipment to be had, and set up, and learning how to do this. This is a whole new environment. Look, our last show was in June of 2010. Yep. I think it was June of 2010. So we're talking 12 years ago. We're just past the 12-year mark when we broadcast our final show.
I still hadn't hit my golden years.
Yeah, right. We could all see better. We all had more hair.
Exactly.
You know, and actually, there were all kinds of interesting things. That, of course, again, it was a radio show, and it was very different back then. But now we actually are in the house instead of in the garage per se.
Yes.
Right? We've got a studio built with the backgrounds and the whole bit. It looks really
there's
cool.
The garage.
There
Look, man, there's the garage. It's there.
And it has been an adventure, I will tell you. It has been a lot of fun getting this up and running again. And Buzz and I were just talking a few minutes ago before we got ready to start this and saying, I told him, I said, I've got butterflies. I mean, we used to do this show. It sounds crazy, dude, because it's no big deal. We're sitting in this studio. There's nobody here. It's not like you've got people watching you. You have to be nervous. But I remember
we don't even have listeners again yet.
Well, and you know what? I have confidence in that, though, because, again, when you take the time to produce a good product, it'll draw people. People will come and listen. And, quite frankly, there are plenty of people, even just in our immediate family and friends circle, that see things the way we see them.
Right.
Now, and actually, that's a great segue, because we had some discussions about some other stuff that we wanted to make a part of this show, of this show's DNA, as we begin to build it again.
Right.
And one of those things is, look, we had a tremendous amount of fun 12, 13 years ago when we were doing the show, okay? Going back to 2008.
Sure.
It says on my shirt, it's on the back, I think it says, 2008, established 2008. And
no, it's right on the front there, right under the mic. Yeah, established 2008.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm blind.
Obviously, he's blind and gained weight, so it makes it harder to see down.
Shut up. So, but anyway, we talked about the tenor of the show. What do we want the show to be, right? For anyone who hears this and who was there at the original show, and there are going to be at least a couple of you early on, you will know this all originated with Guitar Don, with Don Russo.
Right.
Okay?
Egging you on, man.
Don, my wife, in her usual form, started making friends in the neighborhood. And one evening, this guy shows up, right? This skinny little guy comes over to the house, and I'm sitting out in the garage.
You think Don's going to take offense that you called him a skinny little guy?
He was a skinny little guy.
You never know.
I don't know. With his business practice, his business now, he may be a very a stout young man.
Yeah, he's older now. He's not a young man.
Yeah, well, he's not an old man either.
He hasn't caught up to us yet.
No. So Don, we're standing there having a conversation, and I guess my wife must have told him that I was into politics, and Don starts asking questions. So, what about this, and what about that, and what's going on with this, and I start answering questions that he's asking. He's throwing these things at me, and I'm answering. And he says, "You know what, man?" He goes, "You've got a good radio voice, because you need to do a political show." And I said, "No, Don, I'm not doing that." And, of course, it evolved from there. Next thing you know, Buzz and Don and I were out in the garage recording shows, and we're doing this. And it really was a free-for-all.
Oh, it was. Actually, going back just to kind of reminisce on that, I still recall after he egged you on and he got you into that, and you were sitting there going, okay, yeah, well, let's do this. Because you've always been, the one thing I'll say is you've always been passionate about politics.
Yes.
But, man, when it was presented the platform, the idea, let's do this, let's reach out across the airwaves and let's do this. We were so excited. We took your little Hewlett-Packard laptop. Any of you that have laptops know there's that little camera up at the top and that little tiny pinhole that's a microphone. And so imagine in a two-car garage. It's in the middle of, I think it's in winter, actually, is when it started.
It was October.
Fall. It was fall.
October.
So it was still a nice, cool evening up there in Columbia, South Carolina. and the three of us are huddled around.
We had
this
those
laptop
camp chairs
It was-
with a cooler, and the laptop was sitting on top of a cooler.
So we're all huddled in, and we're leaning over, and we're sitting there trying to make sure we project. The sound quality was horrific. I don't even.
So
I
bad.
think. The funny thing is, we have the show, but we've never thrown it into the archives. I think it's still there. It's so sad, guys. We couldn't do that to you.
I think, and I didn't listen to it. I probably should have before I put it up there. I think that if you go to the show archives on the website and you go to October of 2008, the one on October 3rd.
It was terrible.
Is the one.
So if you want to torture someone,
if
go
you're-
back to the very
if
first
you
show
wanna
of Garage
hear-
Politics ever.
If you want to hear possibly the worst broadcast show ever, but anyway,
if you hear that every once in a while, eventually we're going to have what's called a Kylo cam. So Patriot's dog is named Kylo, and he goes through separation anxiety if he's not close enough to Patriot at all times. And look, Patriot's over here trying to wave him in.
come on.
So
He's standing at the
he's
door's
standing at the
open.
door. The door's wide open. He's staring at us, going, "Oh." So I don't think he likes that, but
He'll live.
He'll live.
Don't worry about it. It's just so. Anyway, the idea with the new show is, right, entertain, inform, okay, as much as we can with our limited understanding and knowledge of politics.
more so my limited understanding.
Well, look, it's not like I have a degree in politics or anything like that. So this is our views. Let's be clear up front, right?
Yes.
This is our views. This is not an authoritative discussion. This is not somebody who's coming out of a poli-sci degree and understands how, not that that's worth a nickel anyway. This is our learning over the last 30, 40 years of our lives, understanding the real application of what goes on with politics. Local level, federal level, all the stuff that goes on, reading, learning, understanding, from history books to Mark Levin to Larry Elder to Thomas Sowell, right? You name it. Rush Limbaugh. I grew up with Rush Limbaugh from college on.
Yep.
So,
And then a lot of mine came from the Common Patriot.
but that's what you're going to hear. What you're going to hear now. It's not. I am not. I don't claim to be any of those people. I don't. I don't want to be any of those people. I have my own views on how all of this should work and does work. But I also, I believe that I've got and that we actually have what we formed together in the time that we did the show and in the years that we've, besides being brothers, that we're best friends. We've got a perspective and a view on this stuff that we share with friends and family all the time, and that we used to share on the show, that works to try and bring this stuff into our daily lives, bring it into our sphere of view and understanding, so we can look at that and go, oh, okay, well, that's there's nothing magical about any of this stuff. Trust me. The politicians want to write bills and do things that make you think that this is all magic and you need to stay away from it because it's bad for you. Not true.
And the whole thing is, I mean, like Patriot said, these are our views, guys. Yeah, and guess what? The beauty of the democracy here in the U.S., which a lot of you seeing what transpires here in modern day, believe it or not, you have the beauty of being able to agree to disagree, and that's a lost concept over time here. If you don't like our views, you don't have to listen. You don't have to tune in. You don't feel that you have to write, hateograms or whatever it is you want to. If your feelings are hurt, welcome to America. We'll get you a box of tissues. You can cry it out.
Yep.
If you need to cry yourself to sleep because we said something that hurt your widow-billy feelings, well, that's okay, too.
And welcome to the party.
Welcome to the party,
And by the way,
guys.
all of you who happen to show up and listen to this first broadcast after it gets posted, you get to be here for Buzz's first slap on the hand.
There you go.
If you refer to this government as a democracy with any regularity, you and I are going to have a problem. It is a... Come on.
No, go ahead. Spit it out there, Patriot.
Republic.
I know it's a Republican. All right. With that said, I always hate to do this to Patriot because he likes to get going on stuff. And I often will say stuff that offends him. But at this point, I think it's time for some breaking news. That's right, folks. Breaking news. Not in the sense that you're used to watching nowadays on the totally biased media, but rather breaking news that breaks the souls, minds, and spirits of liberals worldwide.
That's becoming increasingly easier nowadays.
It is. And let's see what they think after this first one. So we're going to go right here, and we're going to talk about Kansas. Kansas is to vote this week, and if I'm right, I think it's actually tomorrow they're voting, to pass a constitutional amendment that could lead to abortion restrictions or an outright ban on the procedure as a whole. So that's a win for people that like life. Basically, Patriot, after the Roe versus Wade overturn, we're seeing this becoming a trend all across the U.S. And once again, here begins on the show where I said, if we hurt your little feelings and you don't agree, it's okay. We can agree to disagree, but you're wrong. So,
that's right.
Any weigh in on that with Kansas there?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna be a little bit out of character and say something that everybody needs to hear. Right. All the people yelling at Trump. This has been said repeatedly by almost every national conservative talk show host you can imagine.
Right.
But for those who may have missed it, let's understand exactly what happened with that. It did not. The Supreme Court ruling did not ban abortion.
No.
What it did was take a very bad ruling by a previous Supreme Court, overturn that decision, and return this process back to the states where it belongs.
And that's one thing I've learned over the years from you is too often, and we're seeing it a lot nowadays, the federal government overreaching their bounds.
Yes.
And they do not supersede state level. States have the right to create laws that supersede federal law.
Right. And you know what? We'll get to this at some point. We during our constitutional segment, we're going to have a discussion that involves the 9th and 10th Amendments and how that all works, because there's a role for the federal government that in which it is the supreme authority on certain things. It is responsible for certain things. Article 1, Section 8 lays that stuff out. There are things that we have put them in charge of. And there are things that are retained by the states and the people. And You're exactly correct. Too often, the government gets in there and starts making its mind up to do things it's not authorized to do.
And there you go. So how about some more breaking news? Let's go on over. Last Thursday, the Supreme Court said that Americans have the right to carry firearms in public for self-defense. This is the first major gun decision in more than a decade, and it split the court 6-3.
Yeah.
Now, Joe Biden basically said he was deeply disappointed in the decision.
Oh.
Well, Joe, guess what? We're disappointed in you. If you look at your ratings right now in the Gallup poll, which I don't normally quote like a liberal outlet or anything, but 38%. 38% approval rating.
It's even lower than that.
It's actually even all of the biased media outlets like the Washington Post and the New York Times and all them said his approval rating is lower than any modern president. So, hey, Sleepy Joe, wake up, buddy. It's okay. It's actually the puppets back behind him that are holding the strings.
You know what that all comes down to, though? When you get right to the bottom of it, you throw out whether you like or dislike Joe Biden, all the other things. The really simple core of that whole process is they've really overplayed their hand, I think, this time. And the American people in numbers, I think, in November that are going to be almost unprecedented, have looked at it and realized, wait a second. You take it from COVID to rules to regulations to inflation to the gas prices, everything. People are starting to realize, I don't have any delusions. There are plenty of leftists that will not change their mind, just like there are some conservatives that will never change their mind on anything. But they're really showing their butt this time, I think.
Yep. And in the last breaking news segment, hey, let's go on over it. Everybody loves Governor Ron DeSantis. Absolutely. Well, several states, including, here goes the list, Alabama, Arizona, Georgia, Iowa, South Carolina, Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Ohio, Tennessee, Louisiana, and Texas are all looking to create similar bills that mimic Governor Ron DeSantis's. It's called the Parental Rights and Education Bill. But all those that are in fear of losing a little tiny bit of a grip hold or, want to fabricate stuff call it the Don't Say Gay Bill. And it had nowhere in it was it called that.
It doesn't
Not at
even
all.
use the word gay.
It's basically the bill is so that parents can send their kids to school to be educated, not indoctrinated. Come
Amen.
on.
There you
It
go.
prevents teachers of students from kindergarten through third grade for giving instruction about sexual orientation or gender identity. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, come on, folks. You know, all you wackadoos out there can wait until they're at least in fourth grade to destroy them.
And again, they show themselves when you're out. I mean, this is the all too often not common anymore common sense that says they're children. We don't need to teach them sexual activities at that age. It's just not necessary.
And we don't. And on a serious note, the problem is we're seeing it in culture. Kids are being destroyed at an early age. There is a time and a place for everything. I recall our parents saying that a million times when
Yes.
we were growing up, both you and I. No, we weren't allowed to watch all the garbage and the filth and all the different things that go on. We weren't allowed to do that until we were actually the appropriate age. And guess what, society? Wake up. Look at the way kids are behaving. Look at the mental issue that these kids have and everything else that's going on. Do you know why? Because we're pushing stuff on them that doesn't belong in their minds.
No.
Give them a little bit of time to develop. And guess what? They're going to grow up into mature adults that can make their own decisions.
There you go.
And the whole thing I want to point, regardless of where you stand, conservative, liberal, whatever you want to call yourself, what's your stance on life, what's your religious view, anything, you grew up and were able to create your own decision and perceive what you wanted to perceive. Give everybody else a chance. Quit trying to force them to be what you want them to be. And if everybody else is against it, everybody else is wrong. Once again, guys, the beauty of being able to agree to disagree.
Yeah, and there again, this is a simple concept. You nailed it. You hit it right on the head, Buzz, in that they can't just sit back, teach children how to critically think, teach them reading, writing, literature, math, science, these things, because repeatedly, time and again, they have discovered when you let other people make up their own mind and you don't indoctrinate them and you don't drive them into these ideas, when you don't push it as a social issue, people decide to live their lives in a very reasonable, very practical manner. They do things that, oh my God, are sort of conservative. And they talk about conservatives being bigots and hate mongers, and we're just trying to take away everybody's freedom all the time. The truth is, we're the ones that I'm perfectly content to tell you what I believe, tell you what I think about an issue. Let's talk about the facts. Let's discuss it logically. You'll come to your own conclusion. No, they can't have that. And so that's why they do it the way they do it.
Absolutely. Well, and that wraps up the breaking news segment. With that, you know what we need to take a break for here?
What's that?
Let's do a constitutional moment.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Leading in, Patriot's going to give us a little bit of history on a constitutional moment here. Break it down, bro.
I'm going to do my best. Let's see what we can do here.
All right.
So now, normally we'll have a couple of different segments on the show, especially early on here. You know, these aren't going to be super long to get started with. But I want to take some time, a couple shows each month when we do this, to spend some time on constitutional issues. Again, not the world's biggest constitutional scholar. It's not like I have specific training here, but I have read the Constitution.
You have the ability to read.
I have the ability to read.
Back when we taught education.
And to study the commentaries. For example, I keep a copy of Ed Meese's constitutional guide, right? The Heritage Guide to the Constitution.
Yep.
Over here.
Actually, I got a little pocket. It's about that thick. I got a little pocket Constitution. I carry around.
It's interesting because if you take the time to read it and reread it, just like you do with the Bible and other things where you learn. You don't just listen to something somebody else says. And this is not an indictment. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm just saying this is sort of how I've gone through life, learning the things that I learn. I'm talking with my hands again. I got to learn to stop doing that. But I want us to take some time on the show because too often the day-to-day minutia of our lives comes and goes, and it's all a series nowadays of sound bites. We throw all this information out there. You drown in all of these opinions and views and commentaries and what have you.
And it just blows up.
Exactly. Well, and the worst part is there's so much of it coming at us that there is a tendency to back off and say, "Oh, okay, that's it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. It's nonsense. This is just too much." And it's really not that complex. Anyway, so the bottom line is we're going to take some issues and what I want to do each time that we do this is try to tie together something that's going on in society, something that's happening in
Preach, brother.
Present day.
Let's go ahead. Break it down, man.
To some constitutional principles. So this first one, because we're getting started and there's been so much happening in the past year, so many things in the past 2 years with COVID and all that's been going on. And we, of course, have been absent for all of that.
We missed so many good things we could have had on the show.
Don't even.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, don't even get me started.
All right, let's not. All right, keep going.
But I thought that there was something that we hear a lot about. We've heard this repeatedly, especially over the last couple of administrations, last few. The idea about executive orders. So I want to talk about executive orders a little bit tonight. And again, you've heard this from others, probably different views, maybe some different ways of addressing it. But I wanted to talk about it because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings surrounding what these are for, right? You hear people say, what was it? Obama was the one that said, "I've got a phone and a pen, right? And I know how to call people and get things done. And if I can't get it done the way I want to get it done, I'll just use executive orders."
Right.
And so, for perspective, I thought we'd look at some numbers real quick before we dive into some of the concepts. I'm going to throw some numbers at you. So, George W. Bush issued 291 executive orders. Bill Clinton had 364. Ronald Reagan had 381. I believe, I forget exactly what Barack Obama's total was. It was north of 270, I think, somewhere around there.
Something like that.
Calvin Coolidge issued 1,203 executive orders. Teddy Roosevelt issued 1,081.
Numbers getting bigger.
Yeah, well, we're going back. Wilson issued 1,800 executive orders. What do you think about Abraham Lincoln? How many executive orders? Okay, Civil War, the whole bit. How many executive orders do you think Lincoln put out?
I'd say 2,000.
No, 48.
Oh, wow.
48 executive
Awesome.
orders.
Hey, if you see the stats next to your thing there, Joe Biden actually, as of February 11th, already had 30.
Yeah. I didn't even bother to try and dig his up tonight because I know he's already issued.
No, I got it
quite a
there
few.
next to your head so everybody could see, basically.
Good deal.
Right there. So.
And the all-time champion for presidents and executive orders is none other than Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
It's right there at number 2, next to Patriots.
3,721.
Look at that.
Executive orders, right? Now, here's a point that's worth making. Whether or not a president properly exercised or used executive orders is not measured by how many or how few he issued. It's not about the quantity that are issued, whether it's fewer or more or whatever. It's about the quality. It's about whether or not they fall under his authority, right? And so the important thing to remember, right, is that your executive orders, right? And there's a note I pulled for this. So let me pull this up real quick because I want to go through this. It says, under our system of government, this is a quote from the Heritage Foundation. Under our system of government, the president's authority to issue such orders or to engage in any other form of unilateral executive action must come from the Constitution or federal law. Put another way, an executive order can be used to execute a power the commander-in-chief already has. It cannot be used to give the presidency new powers. That's the important delimiter there, right? That's the important limiting factor, the thing that says, I can or cannot do this, right? So we know the president is authorized to do this. I mean, he's put in charge, right? He's put in charge of the executive branch. He's the commander-in-chief. He's responsible for seeing to it that the law is well and faithfully executed. So he's got a tremendous responsibility. And while he's executing those powers, any constitutional scholar that you read will tell you that within his purview, within that range where he is executing his powers to see to it that the laws are well and faithfully executed, to make sure that he's doing the right, he has very, very broad scope to issue executive orders. Now, I used to say, before I had spent some time reading more about them, I used to say all the time that, the president, these are for the president to issue instructions to federal agencies, to the cabinet agencies that are part of the executive branch, to the groups that, the people running the Department of Education, the EPA, the Department of the Interior, what have you, for the president to issue their instructions for things that need to be done. Well, that's true, but that's not the sole purpose. These are things that can be used to make sure that the various agencies are executing the law as is proper, okay? And I know that's sort of a simplistic look at that, right? But it's important to understand that, right? So I wanted to look at this from that standpoint because we've heard a lot, especially during Barack Obama's administration. There was plenty of this going on with Bush, and now with the Biden administration, and we heard it during even during Trump's administration. The idea of the fight amongst various politicians and pundits regarding the propriety of a president issuing executive orders. Right, things to do with immigration, things to do with various pet issues of the day. And I think that the point here is that's where it comes down to, right? I think a lot of political pundits have reached this place where they've decided that this is something, because most people don't understand what's happening with it, this is something where they can have a bit of a war and muddy things up and convince people, depending on whether it's a conservative or a liberal administration, progressive administration, they can argue about whether it was right or wrong for that president to issue those executive orders. So when you do a very minimal amount of reading, you start finding out that sometimes even when you think, oh man, come on, why is he doing? I sound like Joe Biden. Oh, come on, man, come on, man. I can't do Joe Biden, especially with a cold. So,
yeah,
I
that doesn't work.
No, I can't do that at all.
It's not COVID though.
No, it's not COVID. It's a cold. Okay. But all it takes to ward that sort of thing off is understanding some very simple principles, right? So the other thing is we need to understand, because to me that started opening doors for me to look at not only what happens with the executive orders, not only the understanding of the president's responsibility and authority in that area, the things that he is doing to execute his job properly and to support the republic, but it started making me ask questions, right? Because that point I made about the president issuing instructions for these various government agencies, these cabinet-level agencies, these are also points of contention. These are things for years, for as long as I've been interested in politics, that there have been members of our society out there, members of our republic, our citizens, that have said, wait a second, Why do we have a Department of Education? Why do we have an EPA? Why do we have this? And I have increasingly become one of those people that thinks to myself, the Congress, the Senate and the House have abdicated their responsibility to properly handle how the laws are being done, what's being implemented, the rules that are going into place. Increasingly, we have what has become known in more recent years as the deep state, shadow government, whatever you want to call it, where we've got all these bureaucrats out there that are running amok. They are not answerable to the people. They are not elected officials. They are not appointed by our elected officials. These are civil service folks that are, in many cases, working under public sector unions. They've got all kinds. Now, the heads of those agencies are appointed, but you've got this game that has begun to be played by various administrations where they will take a federal appointee, roll them over into a civil service job, and make it so that they're not easily removed by the next administration. This is how they plant these people and get them stuck into these government jobs. And so without going into I don't want to go into all the depths of the bureaucracy and the deep state and all the things that make it what it is right now, I just wanted to put it on par with our day-to-day ideas and what we think about this stuff and say this. Just think for a moment about the idea that those folks have got pensions, they got high-paying jobs, they've got good benefits. Those are things we talk about in the private sector all the time. We gripe and complain that we're, these are going to executives and all this. That's something we're going to come back and revisit, right? So I know that was a little disjointed tonight. It was a little different. We knew we were going to get into this, and so there's a lot to do. But it leaves lots of questions and things we can discuss at our next show. We can carry on with.
Absolutely, yeah, we can do that. Want to do another little fun segment here?
Let's do another fun segment. Let's do a fun because hey, look, we're just getting rolling. There's nothing big here. We're good.
Yeah, we're kind of going. And guys, we're trying to trim and figure out. We're not going to start out with the 2-hour show, but
no.
But what we are going to start out with is this neat little thing called They Said What? All right, so the whole object of this is I'm going to read a quote, and sometimes, like tonight, I'm going to apologize up front for the quote.
Oh, no.
But you get to, then I'm going to give you some options.
What have you done?
And you get to select.
Okay.
And it's going to be, you got A, B, C, D, or E to choose from.
I get 4 choices.
You get 5 choices.
A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
Oh, 5. Yeah, I can't count.
It's okay. We're getting older, a little senile. So, all right. So they said, what? Oh, here comes the quote. And I quote, "What a stupid son of a bitch." Is it A, Nancy Pelosi, B, Marco Rubio, C, Joe Biden, D, Donald Trump, or E, none of the above? I basically made it up.
Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I know exactly who said that.
There you go.
I do.
Should we give just a couple seconds so that those that are watching this can
I don't want
think
to ruin
through
it. Yeah, so we give them a couple of seconds.
So-
I know the answer. So if you think you know the answer, get it in your head, think about it. Now, eventually when we're live, we'll probably make this like a call.
Actually, we'll do a call in.
Yeah.
People will call in.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell me who it is.
Joe Biden.
Buddy, it's Patches. Right there.
Yeah.
Right there. It's our own president.
See?
He was in a press conference on Monday, just earlier today, actually. White House reporter Peter Doocy shouted out, "Will you take questions about inflation? Do you think inflation is a political liability ahead of the midterms?" Well, Sleepy Joe was so sleepy he didn't realize his mic was hot. So he basically said in a sarcastic voice, "No, that's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch."
Nice.
Hey, but this isn't the first time old Biden's done such a thing. Back in 2010, when the healthcare reform legislation was passed, he was hugging good old Barack, and basically said, this was a big effing deal." So Potty Mouth Joe, that's what we're going to call him, Potty Mouth Joe.
The gaff machine. Joe Biden, the gaff machine.
The gaff machine. So now, did you want to drive home a point tonight, or
no? You know what? First of all, you got people that are going to listen to this, and they're going to be like, "What the hell was he just talking about?"
They're all over the place.
He's like everywhere, man. I feel like I know less than when I started. No, it's you know what? Like we said, it's groundwork. It's an initial piece. There's going to be a lot more to come. This is the first time back on the air doing this again.
And it was, guys. We got a lot going on. I mean, you all don't, there's a lot you don't see. Like, I'm running everything from one little control panel here. I used to have to run it from 2 laptops.
Yes.
So I'm still trying to get this down. We've got a monitor up on the wall that's kind of the thing where I can type notes to Patriot. It's got our timer up there. It's actually got our layout of how the show's supposed to go. And I love Patriot. He's adamant, but he went off on his, what we're going to call the Patriot soapbox. Well, I said constitutional moment, and he just went right into his soapbox, man. So
that's that timing thing again, right?
It is, but we're feeling it out, guys. And the whole purpose of tonight wasn't to, our actual first live show is going to be next week.
Yes.
This was more of a test run. Now it's going to be on social media. You're going to be watching it after the fact, so you're going to be thinking, well, they already said all this. And you're right. We already said all this, but it's information that you need. So next week, we're going to do our first show next Monday, and every Monday night, we're going to record it and go back to the old days. So the next day, Tuesday, or that night after the show is recorded,
yes,
you'll be able to see it on our, it'll be up on our website. We're going to put it on our Facebook page until they ban us. It's going to be up on our YouTube channel till they ban us.
I haven't got it finished completely yet. We do have a page on Rumble.
Okay.
I've got to learn it a little more. I know how to post to YouTube. I know how to get, and I think I've got it down on how to get stuff up onto Rumble. But we'll do that, and eventually when we go live,
right,
we will stream live to Rumble.
And then also, you could see the page right there where it is right now. So basically where you see that little garage politics with the play button, that's where the show's going to be at. You'll be able to go there and actually hit that and play the show, and that's going to be a good thing. So, and
that's actually what you see there is a link to the show theme song that we posted on Rumble.
It is. So there's lots of stuff there, guys. Take the time this week. Go over to garagepolitics.com or garagepolitics.net. You could check all the different stuff out, parody songs, skits, shows from the past. All those are from the past.
And you'll notice there, just on the Buzz side of the logo there, you'll see that we've got icons for, I believe it's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, right?
Twitter.
I promise I will start this week making posts to Twitter and Facebook.
Until they ban us.
And YouTube, I'm not sure because, YouTube's one of those deals. We'll be posting our videos there of the show.
Yeah.
But you can't live stream there unless you got 1,000 followers, which we most certainly do not have.
No, but guys, it's going to help. Pass it around to your friends. If you like what you hear and you're excited about the Garage Kings being back, go on over to YouTube, hit the like, hit the follow, because the more followers we get, we eventually get to where we can be live on YouTube until they ban us.
And look, make sure, send feedback. I believe there's a feedback page on it. There's a contact us link on the website.
There is.
I think it's working. I hope it's working.
And if it's not, drop Patriot an email.
Well, you can send. You know what? You could send stupidfools@garagepolitics.com and it will show up in my inbox. Whatever you want. But you can send an email to admin@garagepolitics.com.
Yep.
I will get emails for that. You can go to the Facebook page, and there's a contact on there, right? You can leave comments in the Facebook page, I believe, right?
Yep.
Feel free.
You can.
If you, we don't have Instagram, and we're not
yet.
fully conversant in all of the super duper cool technologies.
We're gonna get there,
but we will. And feel free to let us know where you're following us at, what you're getting your information from.
Absolutely.
If you feel like there's not enough info, let Buzz or I, one of the two, know. Let us know. Do we still have Buzz at Garage Politics and all that fun stuff working? I have to check.
I don't know.
I'll check.
I don't know. We're just getting back into it, guys.
We're so focused on getting this working that I wasn't worried about the emails. So we'll get all that hooked up.
Yep. So it's coming, guys. We're back. We're excited. Support us. Help out. We're going to have some merchandise coming up after we get back on the air. Things are rolling and everything. But for now, this was a good test. This was a way to get our feet wet, get out there, get things going. And basically at this point, Patriot, I'd say we call this a wrap. We'll post this up. It's going to be on social media.
That's a good job. First thing back in 12 years, not bad.
Check it out, guys. So basically, this is the Garage Kings, Buzz Rankin.
And the Common Patriot.
Saying see you next week.